Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, fire, roll call, please.
Mayor Steve Copeland.
Here.
Councilmembers Kevin Robinson.
Here.
Romeo Barr.
Here.
Robert Collins.
Here.
Sarah Udvig, excuse.
All right, do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Moore makes a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Councilmember Robinson makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Before we move on to consent agenda, I'm going to give Councilmember Bauer a chance to rectify or correct a statement that he made from the last council meeting, so the floor is yours.
I'd like to make a statement to the residents about the DNR variance subject. I made a statement that has been made, that has made some residents have concern. I said at the last city council meeting that look at the cities around us, we're the only city that has urban and rural designations. After discussion with the experts, the staff, the city, I'd like to clarify my statement by saying we are the only city that has urban and rural designations within our city limits. That's the Rome River relating to wildlife, scenic, and recreational rivers. Thank you.
And that is for the record. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Bauer. All right, moving on, do I have a motion tonight to adopt tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Bauer makes that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Well, before we do that, though, I'll hesitate here. Before I do that, Councilmember Robinson wanted me to pull out item E from it just for clarification, that he wants to make sure the public is aware of this development agreement that's been going on for quite a while. So, do I have a motion to accept adopt tonight's consent agenda, all but item E?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, what's your Councilmember Bauer? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed? Motion passes. All right, just for clarification, Kate, do you want to bring us up to date on Meridian?
Yep, Mayor and Council, so Meridian received a conditional use permit from us last June. Last fall, we worked with the development agreement. We had all of our pieces in place, had it approved at a council meeting, and then Meridian did not move forward with their construction, so they didn't sign the final signatures. As they are working to get their permits into us within the next week or so, we need this development agreement in place before they break ground. So we have updated the dates, clarified the amounts within it to ensure those are still correct, and moving forward requesting approvals for signatures.
Well, Kevin, you asked for it to be pulled out, so what questions do you have?
And Kate, I sent an email to Kate. She responded promptly, and with Kate, if you can just review that. As things go, projects they ebb and flow, and this has now come back to fruition again, and that's awesome. But can you explain what Meridian is, what the structure is going to be, what its function, just a general overview, because people forget as time goes by.
Yep, so Meridian is a 60-bed, 30-room behavioral chemical health center. It is not a court-ordered center. It is a one-story building that will be placed behind the Meridian Townhomes across from the Police and Public Works building. It is a 24-hour treatment facility, so it will have full-time care. This is one that has been coming and going for several years, so they finally are pushing strong through the initiative to get the building groundbreak in July. So, is there anything else specifically you wanted clarified?
No.
Okay.
Just
okay.
in the surrounding areas, you know how things go. A year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, it was fresh in with mind what it is, why is it in our town, as entities come and go, and this is now is going to go. So it's just nice for the people who live in the area and what our community is. There's things going on, so I appreciate it.
Right, and just to also clarify, it went from 26,165 square feet to 27,403. So they've enlarged that, but they have a date of pulling the permit by June 6th of 2019, and then prior permits for development are contemplated by August 30th, 2020 to be complete.
Correct.
Okay. And this has been something that's been in play for what, 4 or 5 years or something like that, or even longer?
I have folders marked all the way back to 2009 for conversations. In 2013, the city rezoned this property for this project specifically. So that's when they began the formal process of the land use applications. And that was when they started the CUP process initially as well. But that one didn't move forward. So this is one that is just really come and go due to economic changes, due to programmatic changes, and now they're going to try to launch it again.
Right, and this is not government run, right?
Correct.
Private owned?
Correct.
60 beds with 30 rooms, I believe it is, something to that effect?
Correct.
Okay. And it's a volunteer basis for coming into the facility?
Correct.
All right, does that answer all your questions?
Yes, it does, sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kate. On that, I will adopt and have a motion to adopt the rest of the consent agenda. Item E, Meridian Behavioral Health Development Agreement. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion, Mayor.
Councilmember Robinson makes that motion. I have a second.
Second.
Councilmember Mewbauer makes a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, meeting open to the public part. Do anybody?
No one's signed up.
Okay. All right, now we're back to special business here, and this comes down to Jan O'Brien, Joan O'Brien, excuse me, O'Brien Waller, Richard Waller, special assessments on 2019 property taxes pertaining to the address of 23040 Butterfield Drive, Northwest, Administrative Pines.
Mayor and Council, before you is a request from the property owners to reduce the code administration fines. Staff has attached the agenda report that was used last fall. And staff has also been, has not been on the site recently to inspect its current condition. And I'm happy to answer any questions that may be related to staff.
Well, I have questions here. I'm sure the staff, the council does too, by the way. But some of the questions I have here is, first of all, as I read the agenda part, this has been code enforcement since 2015. Came to us last year, but I understand the letter they wrote that they were sick at the time. I really wish they would have notified council or staff of them not being able to make that hearing. But also, what I don't understand is staff continued to send notices to the property and attach notices to the front door, and no response was received. I don't understand that one, because between mailings and doors, you had to see the notice somewhere at some time. So I don't, if the people are here, they can get up to speak to these, address these questions that we're going to have for them. We understand there's extenuating circumstances for everything. Ma'am, you can come up, state your name and address. I'll just give you some of our questions here. Then here, you know, seeing these pictures, I mean, you know, there's something there to be said about that. But also, I want to get over to this letter that you sent here. Just give me a minute here to get this up here. We have a letter here that you sent, and what I don't understand here is, it says in this letter dated April 28th, 2019, where you explain how you didn't come because of the flu at that one. Again, I wish you would have called, let us know that. But and here it says here at the bottom, it says some of your health concerns. And then you say that Richard he is on oxygen therapy except when he is at work. Explain to me what oxygen therapy is. I mean, I have a brother-in-law who's on oxygen 24/7, so I need to know.
He's on oxygen whenever he is at home, basically. So if we're going out of town or something, he'll take a tape with him that he has one of those concentrator things on the floor that goes into our room, and that's basically where he spends his time when he's not at work.
Okay. All right, because I mean, so he can do physical work at work, but he can't do anything around the yard. But you do have people, friends and relatives that can help you or have been helping you, or you don't?
No, I mean, I've had a heck of a time getting anybody to help us. My son lives in Monticello now and has no driver's license. So getting him over there for a couple of hours isn't always practical.
Well, you know, yeah, please.
I'm Richard. I am on home oxygen. I carry a bottle with me in my truck just in case I need it. I function somewhat okay unless I'm doing work, and heavy work. And being outdoors with COPD, it's really difficult for me. We have our church family that was just over this weekend, took care of a lot of our mess. I had a friend from across the street took down the deck, which was, to me, the biggest problem. He took down the deck, except for the area that's in the southwest corner, which is a lot of brush. There's a question of where our property ends and the Romaker's property starts. And I believe, to me anyway, that is the Romaker's property and not ours. I've taken care of some of that brush already, but I can't afford $1,000 to move somebody else's crop. I've already spent a lot of money taking care of my own stuff. And,
Yeah, pull up a chair.
Yeah, please, whatever makes it easier for you.
as far as the condition of our backyard, I've got a little bit more trash that I've got to get rid of, and I mean a little bit more. And then, if you want to send somebody over, then I think we're done. So.
Well, you know, first of all, let me, as I've said this many times at other hearings and stuff like this, this is not what we got elected to do here. At least I can speak for myself. This is something I don't relish doing, abatements and things like this, because the city doesn't make money off abatements. It makes money off of growth, revenue from growth, property tax, building permits, tax charges, back charges, so on and so forth. But in this particular case, my biggest question is, and I've stated all people that have come forward with abatements, is when did you start noticing these things to get to this number here? Because this amount didn't come overnight. It came from a long period of time here. So, and I don't mean this condescendingly, but I want to know, is like, you know, when it was $100, did you think of coming to us? When it was $500, did you come and think to us? Or did you wait till it was $20,000 to come and talk to us?
I really never did think of it until the actual fine thing was imposed, and it said on there you can appeal to the city council. As far as not getting a lot of these notices, at the time that most of this stuff was going on, somebody else lived in the upstairs of the house. We basically lived in our bedroom, which is downstairs, can't hear the door. They were getting the mail and stuff, so, I mean, if something got shoved my way, fine, but most of the time, I just assumed that I was getting what I was supposed to get. Not a great excuse, but the only one that I have. I mean,
So is the front door usable, by the way, so that if you went out the front door, you shut the front door, you can see a notice on the front door? Because staff says they put notices on the front door as well as mailed to you too.
absolutely usable, but if we were the ones going in and out, we weren't the ones to have gotten the notice.
Okay, and then here, I thought it said here in one of the letters here, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought it said here that you had some, I thought it said something where you had some friends or ability to have some friends help you out. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
We did have a friend come over to tear down the deck and do a lot of cleaning in the backyard.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't have people that I can call just randomly to come and get it. I don't know anybody in this town.
Well, you know, I just also want to clarify for the record is, I know our community development director said at more than one meeting, if you get in a situation like this, and of course this is 2020 now,
Right.
but you call up, we want to work with you. And if
Okay.
there's other ways to get people to help you through some, you know, volunteer program or whatever, county, we're more than willing to help you get those calls. But again, to build this up over these amount of years and this amount of fine, you know, it's like Councilmember DeGuar just said recently at one of our meetings, that there's a certain amount of responsibility that the public has to take on that we can't do for you. We can't address the problem until we know what the problem is. When we did this, it's going to such a level here, when we receive it, at the tables here, that I wish you had come forth before. Now, I understand there are some health issues at stake here between your COPD and your cancer and something else that you've had. So I understand there's some health issues there. So, Kate, when was the last time you were out the house to see if this deck was down and the rest of the stuff this other stuff that we've seen here in these pictures?
Mayor and council, I believe the last time staff has been at that property would have been last fall.
Okay, that's small. And you're saying, sir, that this deck was taken down when?
Last fall, just before snow.
Did you call the city to have them come out and look at it?
No, I didn't know I needed to. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's understandable, but
I was just,
there'd be.
from the letter we got, I saw I needed to do this and this and this and this, and I just took care of it. I called friends, I called my church family, and people rallied to help us. And that's,
But that wasn't the case 2 years ago. There would have been no
and I
one.
mean, 2 or 3 years ago, Joan was fighting for her life, literally. I had more important things to do than worry about my backyard. I'm sorry.
I walked those shoes, I know exactly what you're talking about, so, I don't, you're here because we understand there's extenuating circumstances. That's why we're discussing this.
Yeah, I mean,
So therefore, we understand it's not a black-white issue. We believe there's an extenuating circumstance here and all that, but like I say, a simple phone call helps us to help you. I'm just gonna go a little farther and let our council here bring up their suggestions or whatever, because I'm looking at some of these pictures here, and I'm just saying to you that, you know, some of the growth and overgrowth in the house and that and everywhere around, I mean, it's a lot, you know what I mean? It's just a lot.
it's not there anymore though. One thing that I don't know why my red car is even on there. It might look like junk, but it's the car I drive. That yes, it had a flat tire, but it was in my driveway, so why is that even on there?
Kate, can you address that?
Mayor and council, so there are ordinances that outline the condition as far as how long they sit, whether they're deemed inoperable, if they have up-to-date license tabs. So there are, I can't recite them offhand right now, but there are codes that allow a period of time for a car to sit in an unoperable position before it is part of the code enforcement.
Okay, I did leave the receipts for both the tabs showing those were always current. I wasn't aware that somehow that car had to be moved and the tire was flat because I couldn't afford to take it in and get it fixed yet anyway, so why put air in the tire that's just gonna deflate again? That's the only excuse I have, I'm sorry, I'm not.
Sir, if you need to sit down, you can pull up a chair too. Please. All right, well, the deck was a priority for meter reading and whatnot.
Correct.
All the overgrowth that we've seen, that was a priority
Right.
too in all this. I mean, you understand something, we have a responsibility to the whole city at large, not just
I get it.
one entity. So, and once again, you're here because we think there are some extenuating circumstances, and that's why we're really talking about it over a month after we talked about, was it back in January or February, we talked about abatements?
Like November, I believe.
Was it November?
Yeah, special assessment.
Oh, time flies. Okay, all right, so that's why we're talking about today. So I'm gonna have some of the council put their questions to you and that, and see where we can go from there. Joe, I'll start with you.
Well, I know you reached out to me, I talked to you, I did not bring my notes from our conversation, but I know you said you did try to reach out to Mike at some point.
Yeah, that's in the thing that I wrote up prior to this meeting. I did call the city hall, asked who I should talk to, and talked to some guy named Mike. And I asked what I could do, and he really didn't give me any great answers. And I said, well, if this thing continues on there, I'm gonna lose my house. And he assured me, well, that's not likely to happen. That's about the extent of the conversation.
And I remember you mentioned something about your son getting handed a notice at some point.
Yeah, maybe that's the notice that they thought was left on the door, or maybe there was a notice on the door that I didn't see. There's no guarantee.
But there's been multiple notices, correct? Or just one?
Mayor and council, we've sent multiple notices.
Okay, anyways, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought, I'm nervous.
That's okay, just take your time.
Okay, oh,
We were just talking about the notices, and your son is what I asked you. That
Oh.
Your son got one, you said something
Yeah.
about that.
he was out in the driveway doing something. I don't know if that was prior to him moving away, or if he was over there for something else. I was in my usual spot down in my room. But he brought it in and showed us, and, that, I think, was what precipitated the call to Mike.
Can you remember, ma'am, the amount that was on that notice at that time?
It was $5,000.
See, and that's one of the things that I bring up here is that, you know, the first notice is, there's no fines on the first notice. It's just bringing you up that there's something non-compliant. Okay? But then there's a buildup, compounded all the way up to 100, 500, whatever, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, anytime, between the building up and all that to get to 5,000. Okay, and then from 5,000, now it's up to 20,000. So you can understand something where we're wondering about the lack of communication. What we've said here since we got elected here is we will look at any reasonable request with full due diligence and full research and give you an honest answer. It may not be the answer you want to hear, but it'll be a correct answer, a truthful and an honest answer. So what I'm saying to you is, whatever happens out of this discussion we're going to have every day, if this ever happens again, you need to make a phone call.
Absolutely.
Okay? I don't care if you set up smoke signals, but you need to contact us, okay?
I've got a cell phone now.
Okay, that's good. And like I say again, I mean, and if you get one answer from someone or you don't get an answer, then you go to the next door, which would be Mike Krillman, who's no longer with us, would be Kate, would be her boss, his boss. Her boss would be city administrator, and their boss is us. So somewhere, and our names and and email addresses are on the website. So I'm just giving you some knowledge of how you can communicate in the future. But I'm hoping we won't be able to see you, we won't see you again.
Yeah, I didn't have access to websites then. I do now.
Okay.
And Kate, I believe you said something about there was, and it looks like the pictures too, there was a lot of improvements from what we knew that they were trying to improve it without getting abated.
Correct. When we brought this forward last fall, there have been some progress made. So, but we haven't seen it since the act and those pieces came out.
Right, before I turn over to another council member, I just want to say to you, before any decisions made here, we need to send some people out there to take current pictures so we know exactly what we're talking about. With the deck down and all this shrubbery, all this overgrowth that you're claiming is done now.
Yeah.
We need to see it all
It
clear.
needs raking still this.
Well, that's the time of the year. We're not going to be picky one here.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
I don't know where I'm gonna get the information, but I need to know whether that shrub that's in, I'm saying, the back southwest corner of our property,
Oh, all the sticks and stuff.
from where I understand, our property line is either at the fence line or actually before the fence line, because I know Larry, our next door neighbor, had to move his shed up farther because we all considered that our property line, and it was over the property line. So I don't even know where my property ends. And the Romikers, which you all are aware of the Romikers, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we are.
They're just to the, they're my south property or west property.
East.
I don't believe, sir, that there's enough other stuff here to show us that if you're 80% or 90% compliant, that's what we're looking for, okay?
All right.
A 10%, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, I don't think that 10% is going to hold us out here, but 90% has to be brought up. This has to be dealt with.
Okay.
Well, I think as far as you get your answers with the property, I'm not sure if the inspector, when they go out there to look at it or take pictures or whatever, I'm assuming, and tell me if I'm throwing you under the bus, Kate, but if you guys talk to Kate, whether it's a phone call or stop at the city hall or whatever, I'm trying to coordinate a schedule. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I'm throwing it out there as an idea. I have no idea.
Correct, Mayor and Council, this house also has an outstanding mechanical permit, so we could schedule a time to close out that permit and do an exterior inspection at the same time to take care of it all.
What's the mechanical permit for?
Oh, my goodness,
furnace.
like that.
A furnace, and when was that installed?
That was the last December, or a year ago December, and the contractor has not been able to get back in with our building official to sign off on it.
Okay, so that was 18 or 17, 18?
Correct.
Okay. That will have to be corrected too.
Would it be better if I gave you my phone number so you can call, because I don't hear the door.
That would be a good start, man.
That would work.
I'll do that.
Joe, anything else?
No.
Okay, Kevin?
You know, I have a lot of compassion for the situation here. I also, you know, like Joe said, personal responsibility goes a long way where most of us are homeowners. Even if you're not a homeowner, you're an apartment renter or something, and you have responsibility for the domain that you're in and what's around you, whether you have things going on in the parking lot or in an apartment or your own home. I also have compassion for the neighbors. The neighbors have health issues that might be going on. They might want to be moving or transferring from their home, and the situation that's created in your home has now caused a situation on their home, and it's a ripple effect that goes out wide and far, and then we don't see or hear about those things, but there's a lot of underlying stuff. And again, I have a lot of compassion for your situation. I don't know what the final outcome will be as far as the monetary situation that has accumulated here. But again, if it started in 2015 and now it's 2019, and we've had a lot of good summer days and spring days come and go, and I can understand ability or a disability pending, whether you get some things done or not. But, you know, if Publishers Clearinghouse sent you something in the mail and you're going to open that baby up and you want something, you're going to know about it. If the city puts something on your door and in your mailbox, you're going to know about it. Again, I'm not here to be a judge. I didn't take the oath of office to put judgment on anyone here. And I could be in the same situation down the road myself or someone I know dearly. So personal responsibility is what it comes down to, and I'm sorry it's gotten this far. The resolution is yet to be seen.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Rob?
I talked to Kate, and like the mayor said, the city's not out to make money, you know, on the administrative fees and that type of thing. My concern is, at some point, these violations need to be taken care of with it, you know, like Mr. Robinson said, it affects your neighbors, value of their home, and it's just a ripple effect. But at what point is the city allowed to come in, open your property up for bids, and clean up those violations, and then bill you for the least amount of work? To me, that sounds reasonable. You're saying that it's done, that still needs to be inspected. So for me, there's still some cost here that the city has imposed over these years. So with that said, I want the city to be able to see those improvements and recoup some of those fees that the city has sent out notice after notice after notice. That costs the city, that costs you, the taxpayer, it costs all the taxpayers some money to do that. So I'm trying to get some of that money back for our residents too. You can kind of see where I'm going with it. I can't see it being zero, but
I don't really expect zero. I don't expect anything. I mean, this is a request. As long, but I mean, if it's actual cost, that's a lot different than $20,000.
Right, exactly, and I don't think that, I know the city doesn't have $20,000 invested in trying to, you know, send out 4 or 5, 15 letters even, right? But there's, at some point, gets you in here, right? $19,000 got you in here. So what's fair, firm, and equitable, that's left to be seen. We need to see the changes and the improvements, and then the cost will be assessed by them.
Anything else?
That's it.
I just want to say to you that what Rob said here is the fines are put into place here to get your attention. And you're here because of this dollar amount, okay? I can tell you when I ran on my second term, when we ran together here, we sat in the audience and heard these type of things too, by the way. I myself can't justify staff time and legal time not being paid for. Because it's your fault, whatever the reason may be, that this ran up. So we had letters sent to you that took time, staff discussions, and legal time involved in it. The city has to at least break even no matter what here. But we are going to look at this in an extenuating circumstance because we realize there are some health issues and concerns there. We understand that. So my suggestion to the council here and staff would be to, one, have our people go out and take the pictures here, have access, your phone number and access to your home, so we can get this one permit off the HVAC signed off, that we can bring this to a level of common sense and reality here. And then we'll talk again here with staff and council to decide what the decision is going to be. But again, I can tell you right now, I myself won't vote for anything less than staff time and legal to be taken care of by you. Not as a punishment, but again, 5 years, 4 years here is a long time. So we want to be fair from the square, as Councilmember Bauer said. But at the same time, we have other people. We're here because of extenuating circumstance, your health, okay? In other words, I'm not going to have somebody come in here just because they're one gentleman and a 25-year-old kid, they're right in his backyard. That's not going to happen here. This is an extenuating circumstances, once again, based on your health issues, that you weren't able to do this. But I say to you next time, and I'm hoping never to see you again, other than maybe at Kings County Market, say hi to you and all that. But I'm just saying to you, next time, call, be proactive and preemptive, and let us help you. But don't let the bill run up, because the one thing I don't like is when this council gets our back to the walls here, having to deal with an issue like this, when there's so many other more important issues we have to deal with besides abatements.
Gotcha.
And fines like this, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so,
Hopefully there won't be a reason for it next time, but
so let me ask you about
totally
that.
understand.
How's your health today then?
Except for the fact that I've developed AFib and ventricular tachycardia over the last few weeks. It's doing better. The cancer, the last scan was clean, so
Very good.
I mean it's worth all the, I don't know how to phrase it, stuff that I went through to get to this point, because,
Well, a healthy day is a good day.
amen.
I will amen to that. And sir, your health today, what's that like?
I'm okay as long as I don't overexert myself. That is my situation with this situation, is we have a bunch of tires in the back of our shed. And we had friends come this weekend and get all those tires out of there. And just walking from my shed to my driveway, I had to go use my atomizer, get some oxygen. As long as I don't overexert, I'm fine.
Well, just to give an example, had you called us, we would have told you about the tires. If you can, when they have someone take care of that for you, mosquito control takes care of that as long as they're not on the rims.
They were on
Okay,
The last one.
and we also had a recycle day. We had a recycle day on April 27th that you could have brought that to us.
We tried.
Yeah, we
The
tried.
guy didn't show.
Really?
And I mean, and that's our situation, is that I have people from my church family. I've got a guy that's a tree guy. It's just, I'm at his back, I can't call him and say, I need you this weekend. It's not gonna work. I can call him and tell him, I need you whenever you can get here, and maybe 2.5, 3 months later, because he's very busy. I can't afford to hire somebody at $1,000 to come clean stuff. I just don't have the money. And I understand where you're coming from, and believe me, I wish this never would have ever even had to happen. So,
All right, I understand that, and I think council does too, I think staff does. So as far as I'm concerned, then I'm sure council will agree with this. Joe, you have something to say here?
Well, no, just.
Your phone number, ma'am, to our community development director, set up a time so we can come and clear off that mechanical lien. Take pictures so we see how clear this thing is and what's been brought up to date. We're looking at the majority of it, again, 90% of it. That one area you're talking about, the ramekers, we'll look at that, but I don't think that's the biggest issue here. There's more issues closer
It's
to the
just,
house.
it's in the woods.
Yeah,
it's a big issue.
Right, it's a big issue, but the pictures we see are around the house, so that's what we're talking about. So We will get these pictures and this information to us. Once again, if this were to happen again, because your health is going to be an ongoing thing, I can see that. Let us know ahead of time. Don't let something like this get this big. When you get a notice of the city, call the city. Call the city. Okay?
Yeah, do you have a sunset date, or is this a 30-day, what?
That's
What is
what
the
I
time
was-
limit, time limit on this?
So is that in our process, do we want to complete this tonight and contingent upon filling the requirements of the permit, getting the exterior inspection? If that all goes through staff and is acceptable, I don't know if the plan.
Well, you'll still have to come back to us for rectification on the dollar amount anyway, if we change that. If we do.
Can it be determined to be this, staff time?
We'll have to know what the staff time is on this and legal time on this.
Well, there's a couple other things too, like the utilities and the stormwater.
Yeah.
So
obviously.
it's like we have to stay on.
Right.
We wouldn't really know.
I have a feeling they're here because it came on their mortgage or bill.
Right.
And so the longer we wait, they're gonna get another bill. And once you get into the bill, I don't know how far you can get into it before you can't go back and what's been sent to them.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm saying is, before they get another bill with another dollar amount, I mean, if it's the intent to reduce this, I think doing it contingent upon the approvals is gonna expedite it.
Dave?
I think we should bring it back. Get the staff time, get the legal costs, try to get a quick schedule on this, and then get out there, take pictures of the property, close out the permit, and then get that exact dollar amount back to you guys so you can consider it.
I would agree with that 100%.
So then we would
So we table this?
make a motion to continue it until the next meeting? Is that the goal? Is that sounding
Because the next
feasible?
meeting, but the 20th of May is the next meeting, right?
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
June,
Well, May 20th.
no, I mean, the following, because I think that's a little too quick.
Is that? Oh, it's
Next meeting?
Well, can we do that within 2 weeks?
Mayor and council, if we can get the inspections done, I think it is important to get it back in 2 weeks if we have that ability, because as Joe explained, as those mortgage statements are coming in, that's gonna push them further.
Right, and they're gonna be on a
behind, so-
30-day basis, so we get it in 2 weeks, we should be pretty good to go, depending on what their date we started on.
Correct, so the sooner we can get in, the sooner we can get that to council at the next meeting.
Is that right with both of you then?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
And Matt, do call tomorrow.
I will.
Okay. I just want to emphasize that because we're giving you extension here, so. All right, well then I think what we should do.
Mayor, Darcy.
Darcy?
I just want to let you know the process would be, we'd have to do an abatement on it. So we have to send it to the county, and the county does have to send it to their county board. It's just.
There's a process, right, so the sooner the better would be.
That is another
Right.
step that's in there.
Well then.
That's not what I was gonna ask about continuance too. so.
All right, because we're gonna take all this into consideration with everything, so. What? What?
Well, the only thing, if they've already got a statement from the mortgage company right now, and they get another one, can it be written down past what's included on those bills?
I'm assuming that they could take, if they have an escrow on their mortgage, if that's what's creating this, I'm assuming that they can take an abatement and send it into the escrow, or to their mortgage company, and they would redo their escrow at that point. When, once the abatement gets all the way through the process.
Okay. Okay, so at this point, I think I should get a motion to table this until the next meeting.
Continuance. to the next
Continuance?
meeting. Yep, continuance to the next meeting.
Okay. And so Kate, you have your direction?
Correct.
You want us here at the next meeting?
I would probably think that would be a good idea.
Okay, 2
And that will
weeks?
be May 20th, 2 weeks from today. Same
All right,
time, okay?
got it.
All right, so do I have a motion for a continuance of Joan O'Brien Waller and Richard Waller special assessments on 2019 property taxes at 2230040 Butterfield Drive, Northwest Administrative Place? Do I have a motion for continuance?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Newbauer makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Councilmember Robinson makes that second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll hear from you tomorrow, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
All right, moving on to the next item here. Kevin Bachman, special assessments on 2018 property taxes, 23611 Vassar Boulevard. Daniel Norberg's administrative fines.
Mayor and council, before you was a request from the property owner to remove administrative fines upon this property. Staff has attached the dates of the notices that were mailed out and attached the pictures that coincide with those notices. Mr. Bachman is here to answer any questions, otherwise I can answer anything as it relates to staff.
All right, first I'll start out. Do you have anything to say, sir?
Yeah, first of all,
Name and address, please.
Norberg should be here, not me.
Name and address, sir.
Kevin Bachman, I live at 20050 West Wardenburg Drive, Nova, Minnesota, 55303.
Now, you wrote a letter here that the council's gotten. Do you have anything to say other than Norberg's not here?
He's not here because he's no longer owns the property. But Daniel Norberg is the one that owns those funds. I've had to forcibly take the property back to resolve the situation.
Okay, sir. I'm going to start out by saying that I sat in that audience for 2 years, and one of the times I sat in that audience was November 21st, 2016. And I saw you come to the meeting and ask and say to the effect in the letter, a contract for deed property does have a different owner than a typical mortgage finance owner scenario. And I saw this council at the time that I was sitting there with Councilmember Muehlbauer, and we heard you say that you were not informed because the notification from staff came to Norberg and not you.
Correct.
And that you were the contract for deed holder.
The deed owner, yes.
The mortgager, okay, and he was the mortgagee, okay? And so, where the council at that time, against what I thought should have been done, should have at least charged you for staff time and legal time, but did not, gave you a get out of jail card for $7,925 at that time, on November 21st, or November 21st of 2016. Your letter was dated November 15th of 2016. So on that, I started read this along with the council, I'm sure, in their packet this weekend, and then you sent another letter in, which kind of almost the same thing here. Please add me to the agenda, blah, blah, blah. Please add me to the agenda. And we've done that now. And you're here in front of us. Some of the highlight points I put on this page 135 of our packet here. Daniel Norberg also dumped the property back onto the mortgager CD owner. That's you.
Correct.
Okay? The property went through a years of notices, contract for deed, cancellation, foreclosure process steps. I also want to hear this letter here. It says at the top here, and I like this one here, where it says, this is a rare situation, possibly never happening before, but it happened on November 21st of 2016. You kept Daniel Norberg, sir, with you then. My point is, if you didn't want this problem here today, you should have gotten rid of Daniel Norberg as a contract, CD owner or whatever you want to call it, back then, because the writing was on the wall back then. It just got carried forward now. And on top of that, you say new owner hardship matter faced with rebuilding the house with insufficient household insurance funds. If you're a mortgager and he's the mortgagee, it was up to you to make sure you had enough coverage on the house to protect your interests, as far as I can tell. And I'm in the realty game as long as being a contractor. So also it says here, her taxes have been paid in full, not the assessment part, but by the new owner. Well, the new owner is you, because you don't have a CO on the house yet that I know of. There's no certificate of occupancy on the new home.
Correct, it's under restructuring.
All right, so you are the owner to date.
Yes.
Okay? Assessments stay with the property. Daniel Norberg is your responsibility. Lack of insurance on the house is your responsibility. I'll finish first, then you can finish. Okay? You're coming back to us now 3 years later with another problem that was created by you and Daniel Norberg, mostly Norberg, but under your responsibility too, by the way, being a mortgagor. As I look at this, by the way, and other notes that I have here, you come in here, you got $7,925. I've checked with our people here with the taxes and stuff like this. For 2018, you owe $3,826.83. For 19, you owe another $1,041, which is $975 in administrative fees. Bart, I'll give you these numbers, don't worry about it. And $66 for MS4, okay? For a whole total of over $4,800, $4,867 that between 18 and 19 that you're in contesting between 18 and 19, like I said. But I feel strongly here, and I'm bringing this up today here for Kevin, that wasn't on the council at that time, and Rob, that may not have been at a meeting for the open hearing. But you have a credit of over $3,000 from being written off the first time at $7,900. It is not our responsibility that your insurance was low. It's not our responsibility that you allowed to keep a mortgage with Daniel Norenberg. Daniel Norenberg is your headache, not the city's headache. And I can tell you right now, and again, as I mentioned before, had I and Mr. Muehlbauer been on that council at that time, you would have at least paid staff time and legal time, which you did not. You got to basically get out of jail card of a free walk because of a technicality that you brought forth to us stating that the notice wasn't sent to you. The notices this time were sent to both you and Daniel Norenberg. Daniel Norenberg's gone. The assessment's on the house. It stays with the house. And I'm going to turn this over to council here for anything, especially Mr. Muehlbauer, see if he has anything to add about this, because he was at that same meeting that I was at. Then I'll give you your opportunity to talk.
May I insert one legal point of order that
Yeah,
you should
please.
consider?
Go ahead.
Do you understand contract for deed of ownership? Dan has title to the home, he operates it like he wishes, I have no say.
Sir, I have a contract for deed right now with my home.
I talked to lawyers, I talked to state of Minnesota, I called the county sheriff's office, they explained to me what I could and could not do. I cannot evict a person for minor stuff. State of Minnesota favors the contractor deed person to treat it as his own home. I could not haul the stuff off the property. I saved 5 times as many citations as you have written up. Dan and I have been at it for 2 years.
Then why didn't you get rid of him after the first time, when you saw that amount going up to $7,925?
I didn't believe that was sufficient reason to evict the person and win in a court of law.
And now 2020, I'm sure you agree that this would have been the best thing.
Well, what I finally built up was, in the last 2 years, sufficient reason to get rid of them, to cancel the contract.
And you realize you can go to conciliation court against him now for a small fee, under $10,000, and you can go after him now for that stuff.
I cannot,
Why not?
because I had the most control under Daniel Norenberg when I had the contract for deed. Per state of Minnesota statutes, I gave up all rights to get any money out of that guy when I canceled the contract for deed. That's why I kept it on mine, I had the most control over him during that time. And I fought his contractor and his first experienced person, he sold the house to that on that point. They wanted me to cancel, I said, now you got no control, he's gonna walk over you two guys. I at least got them half under control last year.
Did you bring this to the city's attention?
Yes, I did.
To who?
I have filed 3 police reports on citations during the cancellation process, because I was worried about my own safety. Daniel Norenberg had stolen the gun from the contractor, and I can go on and on.
Todd?
I have done a lot to fight him.
Joel?
My biggest question is, so in 2016, you were same contract for deed we're talking about? right?
Yes.
Okay. So during that fine process, it says that the city, this is your letter to us, it says the city of St. Francis failed to notify the property owner in this contract for deed scenario because letters were sent to Norenberg and not you.
Right.
Now, you're not the property owner, he is. So you're getting it both ways. If
No.
you're claiming to be the owner at this time to get out of these fines in 16, but now you're saying it's different.
I wasn't notified of the first fine, so I didn't know there was a growing issue to the city.
But in your letter, you're saying you're the owner, now you're saying you're not the owner.
There's title owner and there's deed
You
owner.
understand that?
Okay? I've always been the deed owner since I wrote him the contract for deed, and he bought it. He's title owner with full responsibility for the property. I have limited capability except for what's restricted in the contract for deed and what state of Minnesota says.
I'm looking at the differences in your letters, because you say you're the
I
owner,
copied the last one to keep it short.
then you're not the owner. Now he's the owner.
He,
In your letter,
yeah.
this is your letter, these are your words, not mine.
When I canceled the contract for deed, I became both owners again. Deed
Correct.
owner and title owner. Full owner.
But you're saying we should be chasing Norenberg when at this time, I get you weren't notified the first time, I understand all that, I'm not debating that. But you're saying that your argument to the city was that you, being the owner of the property, was never notified. Now, in this letter this year, you're saying that you weren't the owner, he's the owner.
I believe if you read each letter very carefully, you will see deed owner and title owner and contractor.
Well, it says property owner.
Dave, is that semantics, Dave, or is he correct?
We got to take a look at it. I want to see the contract.
Because I can tell you, sir, I have a contract for deed, like you say, And if I do something wrong, I sure hear from it from my holder on my house, as long as I stay in compliance with him, but he'll let me know if I don't. Okay, I can tell you that. But I can also tell you that the responsibility, the assessment stays to the house. Whoever created it stays with the house. As the house is in your name now, you are the title holder of it now. The assessment was created by Daniel Norberg, which whether you could get rid of him or not, I don't understand. I don't know if I agree with all that, but I know one thing: that assessment stays with that property. And now you're holding it back. I would go after Daniel Norberg if you can. If you can't, that is not our problem. The lower amount of insurance is not our problem.
The assessment, the administrative findings of personal behavior and actions he took, there is no material or service goods the city provides to the property. So that is why also there's a.
I saw the note that you got from the sign off from the city, from the county. I saw that. Jody, anything more to say?
Well, I mean, in your recent letter, what I see is a lot of blame that it's our fault that we were unable to basically enforce our rules. Nuremberg had a special assessment. City of St. Francis failed to collect these fines from Nuremberg. Nuremberg is gone from the property. He dumped the property back onto the mortgagor. The property went through the notices. Dale Nuremberg is no longer owner of the property, but you're saying he was owner of the property, but like I say, you said you were the owner of the property and you weren't properly notified in 16, so I don't, it's not consistent to where, how can you say one thing one year and now it's different? And I get that you're in a bad situation due to the contract for deed and all that, but I don't understand how that's the city or the people of St. Francis's fault that we should pay for those fines because you continue to have your contract, and I don't know the terms of your contract, I haven't seen it, it's none of my business, but that's, what is my business is that you're asking us to forgive it again after the first time, when I don't see a lot of, I don't see any accountability from then until now. You're just saying there's nothing I can do, what do you want me to do? And I don't understand that whatsoever.
I'd like to respond to that.
Go for
The
it.
first time is different than this time in that I was not notified, I could not go after him. I was after him for a few things that I knew about the house, because I did have inspection rights. But I only inspected it twice when I heard the problems. And I actually went into the house both times.
But if I recall, sir, at that meeting, you said you took, there was something about where you drove down around the property frequently, or you saw the property on a frequent basis. So if you drove by it and saw problems, wouldn't you notify him of it?
I didn't know St. Francis City Code. I don't live in St. Francis. I did not know parking on the grass was not.
Ignorance is not an excuse nor plausible deniability.
Just why I didn't take action on the things that seemed reasonable. When I did go in the backyard and find stuff he had there, I took action and told him he had to fix it. The first 2 times he did. Not how the problem was done. Then the fines, I found out the accumulation of fines. So that is when I was deed owner, he's title owner. Every time thereafter I got a notice, I talked to him trying to get it enforced. And that's when I called the Milwaukee County Sheriff and some other places what my rights were. I even, after he gave me permission, towed his boat off the property on my properties to get it in compliance. Before that, I could not do anything with his personal property on that property.
Then why didn't you call and tell us that?
You already had the notice. You've given the notice. I was trying to enforce my side. You were supposedly enforcing your side. We were both working at it. But there's a big difference. Please check on your stuff while as deed owner and title owner. There's a lot of stuff I can't do that you can't do, but you're the only deed owner. You've got a contract for deed. Stay in Minnesota law. You don't decide.
That's the difference is.
We have an unlimited right to contract, and you can write that contract however.
You do not have unlimited rights. State of Minnesota tells you what you have the rights for or not, sir, respectfully.
You have the unlimited right to contract, that's what I said.
Unlimited rights to contract.
Yes, and you write up those terms of the agreement in the contract.
Only a supplemental to state of Minnesota, which has defaults and base code in it. I went through paragraph after paragraph. And again, when I went to enforce it, I read it twice.
Maybe you should have hired a
So
lawyer.
you're telling me the state cripples you to where you can't you can't handle a property if you have a contract? You
No,
can't set the
I
terms?
never said that. Because
I'm asking you, that's what I'm curious.
State of Minnesota has base things that they enforce. You, both contractor, the owner and buyer have to abide by. You don't get to change it. There are other items in there you can tailor. For
Right.
example, the default. You have how many days they have to pay before they don't pay, before you can start your notices. They have a default in there that is legally obligated on both parties unless you override it in your contract for deed. They have some other statements in there that, well, you should write it down. They're not governing it, so all three conditions are existing in state of Minnesota law.
Well, being you understand all these statutory requirements and everything, you would think you would understand that the property owner is still responsible for all that.
Right, and I went after him for that. But there are certain things I can't do. I couldn't pull that wood off the property until he told me yes. It was his property, I can't touch it. He can go after me for that.
June 13th of 2017 is work without a permit. 6/14/2017, multiple citations. 8/11/2017, multiple citations. 8/30/2017, multiple citations. 9/13/2017, multiple citations. And so all these notices were given to you and to him at the same time.
Yes.
And nothing, you couldn't hire yourself a lawyer to go after him in any form or any way? You could. Could you or could you not?
I felt I could not push it that far and win.
And now you want to come to us and win here.
No,
Kevin, do you have anything to say about this, please?
As I said to previous citizens, I'm not a judge and not an attorney, but I take umbrage, like Joe said, one of your lines in the most recent letter. The city provided no material, service, cleanup activities, or anything of value towards improving or fixing the property for the Daniel Norberg decided behaviors. It's not the city's problem. Your neighbors are, again, this is a ripple effect because you didn't drive by your property. Do you have other contract deeds with anybody like him yet?
this is a unique situation. I never wanted to be in this.
Well, as Joe was kind of alluding to, and I'm not a lawyer, but there's boilerplate stuff and there's stuff you can add. And I've been involved in, over the years, in several contract for deeds, and I know what my rights were, and you can't cook meth, and you can't do this, you can't build something without permission, and, again, I'm sorry, but ignorance of the facts are no excuse, and there was a long time ago in the timeline, as I read over, you need to reach out and spend some money and get an attorney, because that's what it would take, to work through this. Now, whether you had the rights or not rights, the attorney's gonna far no better than you and I would know, so, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of sympathy in this situation.
I called sheriff and saved Minnesota. So,
He's not an attorney, though. You need to get somebody with representation that has your total interest in mind and go after what you need to try and accomplish. And you didn't do any of that. And again, if I was in that kind of a jam, that's where I'd be going. I mean, it's a business. You entered into a business agreement with this gentleman, and he let you down. So your only other recourse, if you can't do it with your own two hands, and don't have that skill set, you reach out to somebody who does have a skill set, and you got to spend some money. Sorry to say it, but I try to get by economically as things as well, but stuff happens.
I stopped in about 10 times to City Hall to see what they and I could.
But they're not attorneys. They're not, that's not the situation. This is your business deal, your transaction. It was your responsibility. That's really what it comes down to. Common sense has really been lost in today's time and age. And this is a lot of common sense that I can see right in front of me here. And there's some things there's boxes you did not check. And I'm sorry for your loss, but I'm not buying it.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
I will say to you that also, before I turn over to Rob, I would get out of the CD business if I was you and put this house up for market, let them come up with a mortgage or a banker on their own, sell it outright. Don't do a CD again. That's just my advice for you. Rob?
I'd have to agree with most of what has already been said. I've talked to Kate about this, about at some point where the city needs to get these properties abated. Do we open it up for independent contractors to come in and clean up properties, not just yours, in general, and then put a dollar amount on that cleanup based on the fines or the violations, and then we bill the homeowner? That's what I would like to see, instead of seeing stuff rolled at $20,000, $19,000. That's what I would like to see. But your fines have brought you in today. Looking at the pictures, your situation is way more unique than the previous one. It's a struggle for me to, has any of this been taken care of now since you, and I can understand your moving forward, you take another violation, you contact the police, hey, I got another situation, working through getting him out. I know an eviction takes some time, but I would like to know what the legal ramifications are between contract for deed and the homeowner and what you can and can't do on the property. Because I can side with you about, yes, you're a contract for deed. I'm a contract for deed owner. And the person that actually owns it, there are limited things that they can do, because now I am the property owner and they're the mortgagee per se. But I'd like to know exactly what that looks like legality wise before I make a decision here.
Well, like I said earlier, ignorance is not excused. As Councilmember Robinson stated, you could hire an attorney if you don't know the answers yourself. That's why they have professionals out there to give you the answers. But I look at it like this, as I stated before. You got a $7,925 credit 3 years ago, and between the two, between 18 and 19, there's $4,867 that's owed now. You still walk away over $3,000 left over, because I would never, had I been on council or mayor at that time, let you walk away with $7,925 to that end, without staff time or legal time being paid for. So, I can say to you that, you're a contract for deed holder, I'm a contract for deed holder, but I know one thing, the person who owns, I have the title of the house as long as I stay within his rules and that, but I maintain my property, so I don't have that problem. So, when you drove by this and saw this going on and going on and going on, you should have done something at that time, whatever you could have done, I don't care what it is, you should have done something, but at the same time, you should have stopped Laurinburg from the first time, not, burning once, shame on you, only twice, shame on me, 3 strikes you're out. This guy should never been your second time. Holding a contract for deed with this guy for the first time, I don't understand why anyone would think of doing that. If I had someone in a $7,925 bill run up, I would kick him out as soon as I could, besides going on with a house that burnt down and then rebuilding with him.
Sir, that's what I did. I kept increasing the pressure until he able to decide more.
Well, that, sir, in my opinion, is your headache, not ours. On that, anything else you have to say?
I had 2 pages here to read, but I'll just cut it short. But just like you have a tough choice of when to take action, I had the same thing. I lost 6 months, and I started a year and a half of hard emotion. And that's the only reason you and I are out of being on Laurinburg. Illegal stuff. Which is lengthy, just look at the Minnesota State court record system of how he continues to disobey all laws. He doesn't mistake anybody. He is not controlled by anybody. So,
I said before, laws are made for the people that break them, not for the people that obey them. But that's the nature of the beast in this society today. I can understand you can have some sympathy on you on that, but I can't tell you that the city should be this. We have, as you heard me say before, a larger picture here. We have a city at large to deal with, 7,900 and some other residents to deal with, so we have to be fair, firm, and square. The case before you has some extenuating circumstances with health issues, you don't have that. So I can only speak from my point of view here. It happened again. It shouldn't have happened, gone to be asked the first time. It did. This guy, again, whatever he is, I know he tried to run for council one time because he didn't like the building official at that time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But that's not going to change anything here. So you can go through a conciliation court or hire a lawyer to go after him. I don't know what you can do. But as far as my opinion here, and we'll be taking a vote on this in a minute here, I'm not for giving any forgiveness here at all. Dave, do you need to tell us anything here legally at all?
No, if you want more information on contract for deed, I have to go back to our real estate department, we could prepare a short memorandum on that, if that's something that we're actually interested in.
If she'd like to address the council, she can do that. If you want to. Name, address, whatever.
My name's Cynthia Buckman.
Take your time.
20050 West Fort Worth Drive. No. 55303. Our lives have been so affected by all of this. And I was just wondering if there was any way to get bills sent to Dana who belongs, the one pulling it, but it just doesn't seem fair when it comes to the property.
What I would recommend, by the way, when you put this house on the market, you take that 4867, add it onto your sale price, and recoup it that way.
I can't recoup, so far in the hole.
I can't help that, sir. I can only look at the 4867. I can only look at the 4867. I can't tell you how much hold between lack of insurance and all that stuff. That is not our problem. But I'm just saying to you, what you can do is, I'm just telling you from the 4867, I would add another $5,000 on top of your sale price. In a market like today, you'll probably recoup it from there. All the other amount for lack of insurance, which I heard some number was thrown out to me at $50,000 or whatever, I can't help you on that. This council can't help you. This staff can't help you. That was something you did with him, okay? Am I sorry about him? Yeah. I'm sorry that people like that exist in today's world, but they do. The 4867, and on your sale price, recoup it that way. The other amount, I can't tell you. I don't know what your house is worth, I don't know how big it is, but I can tell you got a market out there, houses are selling before this market turns around. Take advantage of it. That's all I can tell you. Thank you for your time. On that, I'm going to go ahead and go, I want a motion. How do I do this, Dave?
What are you looking to do? Are you going to withdraw?
Okay, then he's part of the job. I guess that's good. Thank you for your time. Okay, moving on to old business, none, public hearings, none, new business.
Yep, Mayor and Council, before you.
I haven't read it.
Well, I'm moving us along.
Ordinance 248, second series, amending the fee schedule, first reading. Okay.
Mayor and Council, before you tonight is a request to change 3 items on the fee schedule. It is to add a fee that will allow the city to charge back upon broker charge. Second is to clarify the language in our building permits, and the third is to add a permit fee for the small cell devices. If council is in agreement, these changes will be effective on June 25th. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You know, explain something to me this, because you know, I read about it and all that, but the small cell fee, explain for the public what that is.
Mayor and Council, a couple of years ago, the state legislature put in place a process for small appliances to go on the poles and structures and signage in the right-of-way of roads. So if I was downtown Minneapolis, you can see them on the light poles. There are small structures that are added. It's to enhance the cell service in populated areas. What the legislature did is they dictated a lot of very specific requirements on the cities in regards to how fees are established, how fast we have to turn around an application. A couple weeks ago, you saw the aesthetics policy go through. So there's very strict deadlines that we would have to follow if someone would drop off a permit application to put something on any of our poles. So what this fee is to establish the fees for that. We still need to establish the permit process in St. Francis, but now we have our aesthetics, we would have our fee, and then we still have some ordinance cleanup to address the rest of it.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, I'll start with Rob. Any questions on this?
That was pretty much it, the small cell thing, that I had. Everything else looked pretty good.
No, I don't have anything else.
Kevin?
I have nothing else, Caroline.
Look pretty forward to me too, by the way. I mean, got that $1.25 on the transaction fees for the corner broker and that.
Correct.
Okay. Well, on that, do I have, well, this would be a roll call, by the way. So do I have need a motion? Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 248, second series, amending the fee schedule, first read? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Councilmember Bauer makes a motion. I have a second.
A second.
Councilmember Robinson makes a second. Roll call, Eric?
Bauer,
Aye.
Feldman.
Aye.
Bauer.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Carried 4-0.
Okay. All right. Need to open the public, anybody? No? Okay. All right. on to department reports. Todd?
Mayor, Council, in your package, you'll see the first quarter report for the police department. Calls for service stayed pretty consistent in the first quarter and compared to this time last year. One area, as you know, we did see a large increase in DWIs in the first quarter. It is a little concerning, I believe, the amount of beer drivers that were arrested and pulled from our roads here January through March. You know, I guess at the end of the day, I hope the amount of enforcement that our officers did do kind of sent that message. Maybe made some of these people think a little more the next time they decide to get impaired and not be on the wheel. As you can see in the report, I believe there were 28 arrests between January and March. So a lot of enforcement out there, a lot of DWIs, and a lot of them DWIs included some very high testing numbers, some even triple, even maybe more than that, the legal limit. So good job by the officers getting these people off the road. These drivers do pose a significant risk to us, our families that use these roads, our friends. Unfortunately, we've seen the tragedies involved with impaired drivers, and these are just, you know, tragedies that can be avoided. And enforcement is a big way to do that. Unfortunately, we can't get them all, but again, hopefully we sent that message to some people, and then they spread that message as well. And know that we're out there looking, and we continue to do that because these drivers do pose, like I said, a significant risk to everybody that uses these roads every day. And it really doesn't even matter what time anymore. A lot of these DWIs that we had took place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's not necessarily 2 o'clock in the morning thing anymore. It can happen at any time. So it's a little discouraging. I guess the bright side is that we have seen a decline since the first quarter in DWIs, not because our enforcement has gotten any less, but basically we're just not seeing the amount of impaired drivers out there. Stops are still being made, but we're not, you know, the investigations aren't revealing as many impaired drivers as they.
Can I ask you a question, Todd? You know, because I mean, I get the off-week package that we all get, and I mentioned this to you more than once about the number of, you know, 6 or more every time, and that's just the worst ones you're showing us. But you know, what is the attitude of the owners of the Legion, of the Bowling Alley, of the Patriot Lanes, of the Rum River Inn? I mean, what are they understanding they have responsibility? I mean, I was a liquor owner one time myself on sale, and I mean, with insurance and stuff like that, I'd be very cautious about letting somebody drink and leave my establishment because I could get sued years down the road. So, I mean, are they receptive, or are they just give you lip service and then do nothing else?
I met with them last year, permit time and license time, I guess. They were all very receptive. They all know the laws. They know their responsibility as business owners and managers. They know the over-serving laws. They know what to look for. At least they communicated that to me. The information I gave them was nothing new. But I think this concerns them as well. I don't think most of them anyway, I don't think they're intentionally feeding these people to that level of intoxication and hoping they go out and drive. I think they know the liability, they have a business to run, so they got to kind of balance that. And it comes down to training their employees on what to look for, because in my mind, even if the managers and the owners are aware, if they're not properly training their employees on what to look for, they're the ones that are letting these people leave these businesses at midnight.
Well, that's my point. I mean, just like you have a mortgagee and a mortgagor, and you have the responsibility of the owner to that. But at the same time, I'm just wondering, is council renewing these licenses too easy? Or should we set up something where we discuss this with these people a little closer, that they understand that you know, your staff is under their responsibility?
And again, I've had some additional discussions with a business owner or two, and some of the problems that we were seeing. When I do that, the problems do get a little better. So I will say that they are receptive and they do improve that practice. You know, as far as the permits giving out too easy, I don't know. I mean, I think the process we have is sufficient. Again, when we do talk with them, these owners, they are receptive and things do improve. It's just.
I mean, you can't watch everything and see everything. I understand that. But at the same time, I mean, you know, if during the year you get like 25 calls from one establishment versus another establishment that was up 20 calls from the year before, you might want to say, hey, you know, what's going on here? Before we approve these licenses and then I sign them, you know, I mean, we're responsible after that too, by the way. So I just kind of want to know, you know, what because I mean, like I say, we see every week, every other week, I see 6 to 8 DWIs that are amazing to me. I mean, 3 times the intoxication rate.
In all fairness to our businesses, not all of these DWIs are coming from our establishments.
Okay.
A lot of them are not. So.
That's what I was gonna say, as long unless you catch them pulling right out of the parking lot, you have no idea where they came from.
Right, and they can tell us where they're coming from, it doesn't necessarily mean they're coming.
So what can we do anything other than, you know, like you say, you notify these owners and stuff like that, but then it doesn't trickle down to their staff and all that. I just hope they don't take this lightly, because once again, I mean, their insurances and their responsibility at a state level is huge.
And I would say over just looking back, and I can pull out the data to show this, but I think over the last year and a half to 2 years, calls for service at these various establishments has dropped. Whether that means they're just not reporting everything or just not calling us when they have issues, but the calls for service have significantly gone down at some of these places in regards to assault and things like that. So again, things are improving, I feel, at least call for service wise, and the amount of times we're going out to these places for issues, we're not seeing it at the level we once were. But again, you drive by at midnight or 1 o'clock in front of some of these establishments, they don't have the crowds they used to either, so that could help, I guess, that issue. But again, it's not ideal for the owners, but we have to get the word out there that this stuff is killing people and enforcement's going to be out there. So whether that's deterring people from going there, I don't know.
Well, it's funny, I watched a comedy show here recently where it was about a group of people who were had a problem with drinking, and when she finally got her license back, she had to start her car, she had to blow into it. And I thought to myself, maybe that's not such a bad idea to save lives in the long run. So
The state of Minnesota does have that.
okay, so look,
That's after the fact.
and then we also see about assaults and stuff like this. And I think your officers are doing as good as they can with what they have with the laws to work with. So, other than that, I mean, we have grown too, by the way, and that affects all this stuff too, by the way. So I understand that.
Moving on from that, as you know, we did have 2 new officers this year. Happy to report Officer Bo is out on his own, he's doing very well. He got through training very quick. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with his previous experience. Officer Hedges is continuing through his field training, and he's working very diligently to get through that in a timely fashion here and get on his own. So, community outreach side of things, we've already been busy with programs and initiatives here in the first quarter. We'll continue to strive to connect with the community through outreach programs over the course of the year here. And with our next big event, Bike Village coming up here in the 3rd. So, it's always a pretty big kick out every year. So, that's about all I have with that. I can answer any questions that you have.
Joe, I'll start with you.
I don't have any questions. I think I love to see these reports. I think they're well done. Visuals and everything, just to look at them and see the increase quarterly. Obviously the concern with the increased DWIs, but I guess at least you're getting them off the road and keeping people safe. So that's definitely a positive. Again, I commend you on the community outreach stuff and keep it up and increase it when you can. I think that's huge. So thank you.
Kevin?
I'd like to also commend you on the report. It's really nice. The things popping out at you. I do have a couple questions. So what is the department's policy on .08 or under? You pull an individual over, what takes place? Do you call another driver? What takes place?
Well, I mean, according to statute, we actually can arrest people for DWI if they're over .04. So that's going to be up to officer discretion. Not to say it happens quite often, because typically those get too far in the courts. So if they're under 08, depending on their driving conduct, they could be still facing some other charges, and then not DWI, but certainly if they're close, especially if we think they may have just had a drink and they might be still going up, we're probably gonna at least request they stick around for a few more minutes, not to catch them over that legal limit, but at least so we know they have a cigarette. But it does happen that we will call family or friends to come pick somebody up if they're under that legal limit. Of course, typically they would have to agree to that. We couldn't force them usually to do that unless they're facing somebody to protect them.
I mean, here the public service ads, bus driving is still driving drunk. I mean, I'm not saying this is allowable. I was just curious what your parameters were. Also, I see domestic assault is up about 85% plus. You attribute that to anything new? I mean, the count was up somewhere?
Maybe just a long, cold winter. When you can't get outside. And, you know,
That's a good as answer then,
You know,
yeah.
we typically do. We'll see an uptick sometimes in the winter time when people just, they need to separate it once in a while, and they want to have that opportunity.
Sure.
So that can influence that. Other than that, alcohol influences a lot of it. But I guess it's
Is that like pregnancy and blackouts? It's the same thing.
what's that?
Pregnancies and blackouts is the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
And then agency assists down, would you also consider things a little quieter in the winter rather than the traffic accidents and whatnot, but?
Yeah, I think the agency assist, we do talk to the officers periodically about that, making sure that when we do leave our city, if we have to leave our city for assist, like I mentioned, a while back, I did kind of explain the agency assist a little bit and how actually a lot of them can take place in our city. But we do make sure that the agency assist, if we're leaving the city, it's high priority calls, could be injury accidents, could be burglaries in progress. And typically they're going to go, if it's a high priority call like that, and they can be one of the first ones on the scene. That's going to kind of weigh their decision in leaving our city or not. So it's going to be high priority calls, typically 9 times out of 10 if we're leaving the city.
Sure. Well, I commend you on your service. I know what I hear from the citizens is usually positive stuff, and it's unusual to have such a balanced relationship, and you're doing a good job, and I appreciate it.
Enjoy this one.
I was gonna ask, because when Kevin brought up the under .08, I noticed, I recently had somebody I know that actually got a deduct, and when I was looking at it, it said something about after 2 hours, .08 after 2 hours. How does that affect you, like when you stop somebody?
In the 2-hour rule, it's just kind of a rule of thumb. It's, to be honest with you, I don't know why the state has that there. Typically,
Not real practical.
Typically, it's within 2 hours that we're supposed to be testing these people.
Okay.
It's just kind of a parameter thing. It's a guideline in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, typically, we're going to arrest somebody and take them in for a test. We should be doing that in accordance within 2 hours. So.
Just curious. Thank you.
It's in statute.
Great.
I want to thank you for the presentation. It's always good to read. Was there an enforcement night in this span? Other agencies come in and...
I don't believe we had a TCD that had been in the first quarter. It would have been all St. Francis officers.
Okay. That's it. That's all I had.
Well, I think the report's well done. I mean, it's really simple for us to look at it, and gauge it from there. And I would say to you that whether weather factor is a factor for being closed up and all that through a hard winter and all that, or whether it's the fact that we have grown and we're seeing some influx of population growth affect this too. It's just a matter of being on top of it the best we can. It's the same thing as I talked for the last 5 years about speeding on residential streets. I mean, whether they get new driver's licenses every year, which we see, people have to take responsibility on it. And that's the hardest issue, is how to get them to do that. How do you get people to take on responsibility for their lives? If you can figure that one out, let me know, please. I'd sure like to know that one. But I want to thank you for that. I say this all the time, but I feel I've had this brought to my attention from the residents about community development and community oriented thinking from the police, and that's a good thing. You've done very excellent with that. And that's under your tutelage, and I told you that personally, and I'm telling you that on the record. I appreciate that a lot. That's the kind of thing you want in a small community, so thank you. Moving on, let's move on to council member reports. Rob.
I don't really have much to report. I will be gone the May 20th meeting. I'll be out of town. It's my birthday. So I won't be here on the 20th meeting. That was it.
How old are you, Rob?
That's it too.
I'll be 50. Woohoo! So, a big 5-0. So I'll be
I'm still with it.
having fun somewhere.
Okay, Kelly.
I just want to say I took part in the recycle day last week, or a week and a half ago now. And interesting, very interesting. There's the group, the Knights of Columbus. I extend a thank you to those guys and to our city staff who did an awesome job. I mean, you can't get any more assembly line action than what they have set up there. It's pretty, you know what's going on, and the people are smiling as they come in, and they're happy to purge and get rid of this stuff, and it makes a big difference around our city. And again, those who can help neighbors do some of that stuff, or you see something. On that same note, as I drive around and come and go, I see people put things at the end of their driveway, and I'm all for repurposing and partake myself, but things like computer consoles and screens and things, and then it rains, it pours down rain, and that stuff is out there, it's worthless. So, I mean, it's gonna cost you a couple bucks, call Anoka County, they have an area you can drop off some of this stuff, but it kind of trashes the place up. Your house and lawn looks wonderful, but the stuff at the end of the driveway that's electronics, it's garbage. I mean, just take a little responsibility, and I've actually stopped and picked up some pieces myself and said, I'm just gonna do it, and so take it, but, some people might want it, but, there's some stuff that people don't want, and that's, electronics is a big deal, so, other than that, that's all I have.
Joe? I just want Kevin to stay out of my yard.
Did you see me?
No. All I got is we all went to the work session on the 22nd. Also attended the MidNet deal about 47th First Baptist Church on the 23rd, and I thought that was awesome. I'm hoping we get more involvement when the next one comes up, and we'll try to obviously get that out there through the city, through my Facebook page, I assume. The other council members that are on social media push that stuff as well. And then I went to the Anoka County Fire Protection Council on the 25th with the mayor. And that was always good to go to those things.
Can you give us an update,
you will.
Joe, on the audio here? Anything new?
Well, I talked to Joe a few times about it, about different options. What I'd like to try is possibly do just the iPad to see how that works. We could try what we talked about before, but obviously that markup on the return if it doesn't work, which I totally understand that, but that to me would be the best option to go still. I think that trying with just the iPad and maybe that app alone to see how that works, I don't know how that's gonna work, or whatever to stream it. I know that's how the district does it, and I haven't sat down and watched one of their meetings since I heard they started doing it, so I don't know how great it's gonna be. But I think at this time, still the best option currently that I found was what we had discussed prior. I haven't dug too deep into it since then, with the other things we've had going on, as well as personal things. But I definitely continue to keep looking for other options. But I think with trying just the iPad maybe to see how that works and see if it helps. A lot of it's going to be how loud we speak and how loud staff speaks. I looked at other options that were maybe cheaper that I could try to, just do myself and bring them in. But then again, too, if I can't repurpose it or something after the fact, if it doesn't work, I'm not sure how much worth that gamble is either. But we just got to keep looking into it. And I'll touch base again with Joe and talking about the iPad deal too. I know we have mic problems again tonight, where they're not charged and whatnot, so, or whatever the case may be with them. But we'll have to keep looking for options.
I was at the recycling event on the 27th too, by the way, and I want to commend Paul's staff, Tom especially, for coming up with an excellent idea of how to keep traffic moving smoothly by having, Lisa was there and Tom was there and Sandy was there and I was there at the beginning. But we directed it so we have two lanes of county taking the money from everybody. We got it so the vendors are picking up that end of it, except for a couple vendors we haven't had this year. But it went really smooth because instead of having one lane and then you're waiting, they're holding back while you get the money, and then you go back and forth and back. It worked out really well. So a little idea goes a long way, and it kept everything streamlined and smooth. It was not the warmest day we've had in the past, but it wasn't the coldest day either. But your staff works out excellent, and it's a great day. People, I'm still amazed at the amount of tires I see, the amount of appliances I see. It's amazing. I mean, all year they must accumulate this and just wait to come to your event. But I think they're starting. Did you just get a count, by the way, on that? How many vehicles we had? Did you know that?
371, I believe, is the count.
Was that down or up from last year?
Last year, I believe there was 420.
Yeah, I thought it was big or something. Yeah, still pretty good. Still pretty good. A lot of, like I said, we had one person come back, I think 4 or 5 times with tires. They were clearing up their parents' yard or acreage or whatever. The mother knew about it, but they were out of town. The father didn't know about it, so it was supposed to be a surprise. I wanted to see how long it would take him to notice that the tires were removed. I'm still not sure if they even know that. Also, like to say, as far as the audios here and stuff like this, I'm wondering if we should have a work session. And one of the things that Councilmember Bowers brought up to me, and I think it's worth discussing on abatements and fines and that. And I think it's something that we should look into on maybe some different alternatives. He's got some ideas I think might be worth looking into as far as, I don't know the legalities, Dave, as far as the legalities of when we are able to go onto a property without permission to clean something up type of thing like that. We'd have to look into that. But I know one of the ideas he has is where, before it gets to these bigger fines and that, where we look at it and say, we'll offer them that we can clean these services up. You can either pay for it direct or we can put it on your taxes, but stop it at a lower end. I'm thinking that
Once it hits a certain dollar amount.
yeah, not cap it, but once it gets up to a certain amount, let's just say, for example, $5,000. Before it gets there, we go in there and say, we can clean this up, we'll get a little bids on it, we'll take the lowest bid, we can clean it up, you have the option to pay for it, put it on your taxes, whatever, something we should discuss.
That would be a policy decision for the council, and yes, that's up to you.
And I think that'd be worth in a work session. I think also, something that we want to talk about is more further up, talking about audio. We're going to remain in this room until we have another facility down the road. One mic here is just not going to cut it, in my opinion. So I don't really want to set a work session now, I don't think, but it's something we can. It's not something really,
We can always turn it.
I think there's more conversation with Kate about
okay.
the fee schedule and
Okay, I mean, it's not a priority right now. I mean, we're past the payments right now for another year, I hope, anyway. But anyway, but something we should consider. I mean, we're always looking at the better ways of government. I want to bring up something right now here, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun at all. But something's been brought to my attention from the police department, and I want to bring this up about ISD 15, St. Francis Area Schools, is considering with their budgets taking, instead of 2 SROs, school officers, dropping that down to 1. I can only give you my opinion as a resident and as a mayor, but really was only able to have my voice heard to a resident versus the mayor. But I can tell you, I think that's a mistake. I think in my own opinion, spending the dollars on good security is a good insurance safety, and I think safety is something we preach. I look at something like the fact where it's better to have it not need it in place than to need it not have it. Today it shows we don't even have problems. When we have problems, they're taken care of because we have 2 officers dedicated to that safety of our schools. I think they're making a big mistake here. I think they're sometimes, in my opinion, and it's just my residential opinion, penny wise and dollar foolish. I will go on record as that as my opinion. They can state that for whatever they want, take it out on me. I don't really care. But I can just say to you that I feel that that is a mistake here. And if you're listening to me on this video here, I would suggest you call into the St. Francis Area Schools, because this decision will be done on Wednesday the 8th at their board meeting. And I think public input on this is important for them. Am I wrong on that?
Yes, it's the 13th.
I thought it was the 8th you told me.
Usually it's the Mondays we're not here.
8th, they typically post it. I heard they're posting it public, so public can read the packets.
The public? Oh, that
I believe it's
meeting.
the 13th.
The meeting is
The
the
13th?
13th, yeah.
Okay, the meeting's on the 13th, which is, what day is that?
Monday.
That's a Monday?
Next Monday.
A week from today, okay. But I would suggest that if you have a concern about this, we are all for safety on this council and staff together, wherever. But I can only say to you that schools, with what's going on in this world today, I just don't see the purpose of reducing it by 1 officer. I just don't. I don't think, when you look at an $80 million bond that just pulled and things like that, I don't see where that amount of money that's in play here is a big deal. But I just want to bring it to your attention. I bring it more so as a resident than a mayor, because I have no pull as a mayor. But I just want to give my 2 cents on that. So that's where I'm at on that. We have Memorial Day coming up here on May 27th. Of course, the city office will be closed. I can just tell you, I wish all of you a happy Memorial Day, a safe, happy holiday. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it will turn and be nice. But most importantly, enjoy it with your family. Enjoy it safely. That's a big deal. Watch, if you're driving defensively in this world today is a very important thing to do. But when you're on that road, get your destination. Key is to get there alive. That's a big thing. So on that, I don't think I have anything else to say. Any other further business with the council? Anything with the staff? Craig, how are we doing with Riverbank?
We sent out the notice of award, and
we just received all the contract information back yesterday. So we assembled the contracts, that'll be brought up here, given to Barb for your signature,
Okay.
then they'll sign them. But likely a pre-con next week.
Okay. Okay.
And
And that'll be with the public then? With the,
Typically is not
okay, just with us then?
with the contractor and staff.
Okay, okay, okay. Also, as Mr. Muehlbauer said, MnDOT meetings went very well the first one, and I can just state to you that, as I stated there before, the two time periods that we had there, come to these hearings, keep up to date here with our website. When you go hold your cursor on our community, go to the lower left of the window that pops up, and you'll see a link to the MnDOT site to keep up on when these next meetings are going to be in that. Your public input is important. Please keep open-minded, and please get the facts before you listen to distortion on the social media, because that's only going to make this process harder to deal with, and let's come out less successful. This is going to take some time, faster than MnDOT's usually normal, the 5-year period down to the 3-year period. Construction should start in 2021, but they need the input from the public, from the school, from the city, from businesses and whatnot. So this is important to keep an open mind. And once again, do not listen to distortion. If you want to know something, ask the question, and we'll give you the answer. Also, you're seeing that there is do we know what the deadline is for that light on top on Pedersen to be complete? Do we know that?
I don't know. I know construction has begun out there, but.
Okay. I'm sure people are seeing the construction there and seeing that it is going on. Also, I want to tell everybody, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but Quick Trip is under construction. With an opening date of August 15th at 5 a.m., put that on your calendar. We will keep you abreast of that, but they are here, that's for sure. But I'll go over that too. All right, no other business on the staff and council? Then at this 7:36, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.